The first floor had the elementary and the office, the principal's office. Then upstairs was, one end was a junior high and the other end was the high school. I had a lot of, one especially girlfriend that I started kindergarten. We went all through school together. Roberta Buller. Bob Wirt started with me. He ended up being a doctor up in Lansing. I got all my graduating class pictures in that thing there. We had the Crystal newspaper for our graduation was all in the Crystal. We didn't have a yearbook or anything.
We are Susie and Al Mumford, and I graduated in 1955, and he graduated in 1954. We met, I was in the 5th grade, and he was in the 6th grade, and we were at school camp, at Clear Lake Camp, which is now Battle Creek Public Schools Camp. So that's the first time we met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. And then we actually just kind of met. We just didn't know each other very well, and just kind of met. And then she shows up at Highland Junior High a year after I was there, and we just kind of met and hung out. And although that was just our story, we kind of met and hung out and knew each other a long time.
Right, and I came from Prairie View, and one of his friends was also my neighbor, so that's kind of how he stuck around all the time.
Yeah. We dated on occasion, and it might be Thursday afternoon. Hi, do you want to go to a movie on Saturday? Or we gave you a little more time to get a dress when we went to the dances.
Right.
But we were not a couple all the way through high school.
But we reunited occasionally when he was home from the service and I was home from school. And then finally in 1958, yes, 1958, we kind of decided this is the way it should be. So we were married in 1959 and have lived here ever since.
My favorite teacher and probably a mentor for me was Mr. Claire Flowers. He was a long-time teacher. If some of you see this video first and are traveling around looking at the rest of the things, you're going to find Claire. He taught industrial arts, and just a great guy. He would listen carefully to you, and just a good mentor to me. Now, Mrs. Lauer taught music. I think she was the one that invented the Spartan-Air name. There was a group called the Triple Trio when I was in high school in the later years. I think she founded the Spartan-Airs, and of course their success is widely known. Our son Michael and their daughter Jennifer were both in Spartan-Airs and really liked it.
I don't think there was a teacher that I did not really like. I had Bob Stout in high school. I'm not a really good math student, but he made geometry so fun that it was fun to go to his class. My kindergarten teacher was Martha Fruin, and I remember when I was 5 in her class, there was a terrible, terrible snowstorm, and I lived on 28th Street, and my mother bundled me up and sent me out the door to go to school, and of course I walked. It was like 2 long blocks, and there was nobody else there except me. And so Mrs. Fruin and I had had a time together for a while, and somehow I got home, and I don't remember that. But she was a great kindergarten teacher, and that's probably one of the reasons in the back of my head that that's what I did for my life. We were going to must have been a junior prom, maybe.
Yep.
And all my grandparents were lined up in the living room with my parents, and this gentleman here, as we were going out the door, stepped on the back of my dress and ripped it right from the waist.
Yeah, I did that. Unintentionally, of course. But I guess it was a tradition at that time that if the boy came to the girl's house, grandmas and grandpas and uncles and aunts were there, and kind of like, I didn't really want to date all of them. I just wanted to take Susie to a dance. But it was done at our house later on with our children as well.
Thomas Dunton. I graduated in 1960.
Okay, Mary Jane Sipsik, graduate of 1967.
One of the more memorable teachers I had was Eula Prey for English in 9th grade. She was always encouraging me to read and to write, and she was just very encouraging, a good model, and someone that I looked up to and respected an awful lot and learned a lot from.
When you think about teachers for Lakeview, I came only for high school. I was a transplant, I say, from the Upper Peninsula. So just having 4 years in Lakeview, I really had to take advantage of all of the teachers that I had.
I had a great kindergarten teacher and first grade teacher, I believe, Helen Snodgrass in kindergarten, 1947-48. And Miss Baker in first grade. I say Miss Baker because I've been an avid reader for a long time, and I attribute much of it to what she did in first grade. Also Neil Van Diz in sixth grade, and he did a lot of reading. He would read Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, the Iliad, the Odyssey. He'd read poetry. He encouraged us with a lot of great literature, and he'd take us outside and play football or softball with us. He was just really involved with the students, and later on I used a lot of what I learned in that class, what I saw in that class. When I became an upper elementary teacher in 5th and 6th grade, I did some of the same things, and so I attribute the fact that I ended up being an upper elementary teacher for almost 40 years to my experiences in Neil Van Diz's class.
Mrs. Pickethley, she was a distributive education teacher at the time, and I really remember her because she helped me get my very first job. And I think it was through that helped me do the groundwork for everything that I became and am now. It was a very interesting experience for her because it wasn't just classwork, but we also had the DECA Club. And being an officer in the DECA Club and seeing from what it was back then and what it does for a person in their growth has been absolutely phenomenal to watch. I still have my DECA jacket, I still have my DECA pin, and I was looking at those the other day because we used to give out different types of pins for different types of awards, and it's just kind of fun to reminisce back to what that was.
In high school, I remember Marge Pastor. What a fine teacher. She was, again, an advanced English teacher for me, and she taught us some writing techniques. She would critique our writing, and when I left her class, I felt I knew how to write, and to this day, I still enjoy written composition. I get a big charge out of it, and I think a lot of it's due to the teachers I had here at Lakeview School, culminating with Marge Pastor when I was in the 12th grade.
I'm very fortunate that when my husband Bob and I got married, we were married in 1969, and we bought the house, and we specifically bought it here in Lakeview. We wanted Lakeview for specific reasons because this is where we wanted our family to grow up. I am still in the same house that we bought before we were married. And I am very fortunate that I have 3 children that went through the Lakeview School District, and they now have children. And I also have grandchildren that are in the Lakeview school system. And I'm very proud to say I even have some great-grandchildren that are going to be entering the school system. So you can see that Lakeview is in our blood, it's in our family blood, it's where we wanted to be, it's where my parents wanted to be when we moved to Battle Creek, and it's where I continue to want to be.
Lakeview has impacted my life very deeply. I enjoyed my 13 years here as a student, all the way from kindergarten through 12th grade.
Hi, Battle Creek, Lakeview High School. This is Francesca Amari, class of 1979. I'm recording this from my home in Palm Springs, California. Everything I do in my life right now, I can attribute to what I learned at Lakeview School District. I started master singers in 4th grade, continued to sing in choirs all through elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and now I make a living as a professional singer. So thank you. I owe everything I do to Lakeview. I loved it, and congratulations.
Carl Randall was the superintendent when I was a student at Lakeview. For me, it's an honor to be following in his footsteps. He's a giant. He's a giant in the educational world, and I didn't know him personally at all, but just as you get older and you realize what people actually do and how their jobs affect different aspects of education, especially for children, what a big impact that has on the lives of so many children. And I want to do just as well as what he did, or better, and striving for that excellence that he definitely had in this district.
Hi, I'm Scott Durham from the class of 1989. I think I want to talk a little bit about the teachers that I had throughout my career at Lakeview Schools, starting with my elementary teachers in Mingus Brook, Miss Hanson, Miss Peterson, Miss Schmock, and of course Miss Crone in 5th grade. Moving on to middle school, Larry Dillon we were the last 6th grade at the old Highland Junior High. And then certainly at the high school level, Mr. Lawrence in English was fantastic. And then the social studies teachers I had really inspired me to become a social studies teacher that I've been doing for the last 26 years. People like Mr. Cantrell, Mr. Brownlee, and of course Mr. Ward, the principal at the high school, had a huge impact on me as well. But I think there are 2 people I also want to mention that had just an impact on my life outside of school that I'll never forget. First of all, Mr. Mumford, the speech therapist. When I was in elementary school, I had a severe stutter and I couldn't say my R's, so I would say things like wabbit instead of rabbit. But I've worked with him pretty intensely for a few years, and he helped me through all of that, and I'm pretty comfortable speaking in front of large groups of people now. So I thank him for helping me with that and impacting my life for the long term. And of course, Dr. Lincoln, our librarian at the high school. I started as a library assistant with her when I was a sophomore in high school, and worked with her throughout high school. And then later on, as a teacher, we've done so many things together, and she's inspired me to do so many things together, including earning my PhD in curriculum instruction and teacher education. So I thank all of these people for not only for making my educational experience worthwhile, but for encouraging me and supporting me and inspiring me to do great things with my life in general. So congratulations on the 100th anniversary of Lakeview School District. I know you've impacted thousands of students just like me, and I thank you all for that.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to send greetings to the Lakeview community on this important occasion of the district's centennial. Libraries have certainly changed from 1973 when I entered the profession. And yes, we have the impact of technology. We have virtual resources that we could not even have imagined 50 or so years ago. Means also being open to change, to suggestions, for keeping us focused on the ultimate goal of making students lifelong learners and opening their eyes to the availability of information. Throughout this long career at Lakeview, one aspect of going back to the 70s and the 80s is that now I'm seeing a turnover of generations and individuals who I had the privilege to work with as students, I now work with as adults, as colleagues.
My name's Natalie Presley, used to be Natalie Kincaid, class of 98. And my favorite memory, while I was in high school, I was a part of the Spartaneers show choir. And in 1998, we went to nationals for the first time, and we placed 4th in the country. That was a huge high for all of us. And getting to perform at Disney World was beyond compare for us. We had built the show choirs so much in the years that I was here, and under the direction of Jeff Valier, had really come a long way. It was our first year having a national choreographer. So it was really special for all of us that we were able to be 4th in the country. So I would say that was my favorite memory of my time at Lakeview.
Hello, my name is Kelsey Werner. I'm a 2008 graduate of Lakeview. I attended Lakeview from 2nd grade until high school graduation.
Hi everybody, my name is Charlie Fulbright. My pronouns are he, him, and I graduated from Lakeview High School in 2003.
My name is Dominique Brown. I was Dominique Seitar when I graduated from Lakeview High School in 2013. Lakeview has impacted my life in a few different ways. The first is that I met my now husband Brandon Brown at Lakeview. He graduated in 2012 and we became very close friends my junior year in KG's theater class. We did a lip sync together, and that's a memory that we talk about quite often.
One of my favorite memories is being a part of the leadership program or whatever it was at the end of the summer before the school year in the high school, and we played some sort of capture the flag on the high school soccer fields, and the sprinklers went on and we were basically dancing in the sprinklers in the middle of the night. And we also got to watch a movie in the high school pool, and at the time that was like the coolest thing.
One of the fondest memories that I have is the music programs at Lakeview. I went through Lakeview Singers with Mrs. Ritter at Riverside and Territorial, and then Spartaneers at the high school with Mr. Valier and Mr. Black. Music definitely shaped my life, fine arts, in a way that sports could not. From winning grand champions my freshman year in Spartaneers to the dance camps and the fabulous costume changes, the music program really helped shape my life and help me live and be my true authentic self.
My senior year, I went to Japan because Sensei Pollard was amazing and signed us up for the Kizuna project, which allowed us to go to Japan for 2 weeks for free to help with tsunami victims and to help see the reconstruction and to do a presentation when we came back talking about how Japan was rebuilding. While we were there, it was definitely life-changing.
When I was in high school, I used to eat lunch every day in Mr. Schmidt and Mr. Black's office with other music diehards, and we just got to chat and hang out, and they were wonderful at being just people with us. They are my favorite teachers, and my favorite classes were anything that happened in the band wing in high school and in middle school. Darren and Greg are teachers of life and teachers of people, and not just teachers of music, and they are foundational reasons why I'm a teacher. I wanted to make kids feel known like they made me feel known.
It has, Lakeview definitely impacted my life.
I am very thankful for Lakeview in my life, and am thankful to be a Lakeview employee and a Lakeview graduate.
Thank you, Lakeview. Thank you, Lakeview Spartanaires. Congratulations on your 100 years. Love ya.